Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
This offense has been built to be very multiple in how they attack you. They can attack you vertically, attack you in the run game, attack you on the perimeter with the option game, screen game. They called it fun and gun at one time, and I think, part of that is letting the players be aggressive and attack you, and I think the best offenses out there are ones that have deception involved as well.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Here on a Wednesday night, we come to you live from downtown Columbia here on the nights before Thanksgiving. If you're traveling around the states, please be careful. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your holiday weekend. We look forward to spending the next couple of hours with you here on Sports Talk. We've got a very busy show. Joe Moglia coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll have our defenders here at the bottom of the hour, our coordinators after 7, and some professional help from Lee Sterling coming our way later in the program, and some comments from USC basketball coach Frank Martin. Phil Kornbluth and Kevin McCrary with you here tonight with the steak man Graham Pope. Tomorrow night, special edition of Sports Talk, pre-recorded preview of USC and Clemson, and back live with you on Friday night. Let's jump right into it. Of course, the big story of the day involves USC's search for a new head football coach, and reports from some national media today that Tom Herman has withdrawn his name from the USC search. Of course, this comes on the heels of the report that we had last night about a tentative agreement on an offer in principle that was made to Herman from USC, according to our sources. And so people have reacted to that in a variety of ways today. All I can add to it today is that nothing has changed in my mind about what we reported. I am 100% convinced that he had an offer from South Carolina, that there was some sort of agreement between the two, and they were working towards a deal. And who knows? It may not even be over yet. From what I'm told this afternoon, the Herman people, his agent, whatever, has not contacted South Carolina to tell them that they're no longer interested in the job or exactly what they're doing. It could be a case where he wants to focus on his game coming up on Friday against Navy. It could be a case where the LSU situation could be very enticing to him, being closer to his Texas roots. And he may want to wait and see if that opens up and if indeed he gets involved there. But what we don't know for sure, because we've had national people citing sources, but Tom Herman himself has not come out and said anything one way or another, pro or negative, about South Carolina or any other job. He has not yet spoken directly about any situation. We'll pick up on this coming up in just a couple of minutes, but Joe Moglia from Coastal Carolina is coming up in a moment.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on the Wednesday nights of Clemson, Carolina-Clemson week. And we're waiting to hear from Coach Joe Moglia from Coastal Carolina. Of course, they've got a big playoff game coming up against the Citadel. And we are waiting for him to join us. He should be doing it momentarily. In the meantime, K-Mac is here with us in studio as well tonight. So back to and we'll talk with Coach Moglia when he joins us, but we'll go back to the story on Tom Herman and South Carolina and where I see it. So, again, I feel like what I reported last night and what we've been talking about is correct. I think that offer was made. I think it was moving down the road. I think things were getting put together. I think plans were being made for him to come in, et cetera, et cetera. And exactly why on his end they pulled back on the reins here a little bit. If it's because he wants to see what happens with LSU, that's possible. If it's because he wants to get through the Navy game, if it's because he totally changed his mind and wants to move in another direction, I don't know. He's not saying anything. But that's where I think it was. That's where I think it is now. Kirby Smart, according to a couple of the national guys, of course, he's been on all the lists following the story as another guy that Ray Tanner is very interested in. He may very well now be the front guy as long as the Herman situation does not change as it is as it stands right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens after Friday and through the weekend. If there's no other movement from him through the weekend, then the ship may very well have sailed.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like all the chatter right now involving Herman seems to point to him either staying at Houston or, like you said, maybe taking a peek at LSU. And there's no question. I don't think there's any question that South Carolina was making a play and a hard run at Tom Herman. And these things are always fluid. They all, there isn't any such thing as a done deal until the coach signs a contract. And even then, we've seen coaches back out and change their mind and go somewhere else. It's always a fluid situation. But all the chatter now, it's moving towards Smart, and we'll see how that plays out because the Georgia situation is still fluid. LSU, absolutely, we know, is fluid. There's just a lot of things happening out there. And the bottom line is South Carolina is probably not the number one job on any of these major guys' list. I mean, Kirby Smart pulls out his little list of places he wants to coach. I seriously doubt South Carolina is the number one team. Same with Tom Herman.
Question is, would LSU, if it comes open, would Tom Herman be their guy? Would they be as interested in him as South Carolina?
Well, they think LSU people think they're hiring Jimbo Fisher.
Exactly.
But that might be a pipe dream. Well, and these teams are going to have to move quickly. So there's a lot of things happening here.
All right, we'll pick back up on that shortly. But we do have Coach Joe Moglia from Coastal Carolina with us, and we thank him for joining us here on Thanksgiving Eve. And we know one place where it's not fluid in the coaching office, and that is at Coastal Carolina. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, Phil. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your staff and players. Congratulations on another great year. No, it didn't end up regular season-wise the way you were hoping, but you're in the playoffs, and you got a home game against a very tough opponent.
There wasn't any question about that. I know you were talking about South Carolina a little while ago, and if you had a chance to watch that game, I mean, Citadel deserved to win that game. They really did do an outstanding job. They were well prepared. They executed well, and certainly they're going to be a team to be reckoned with on Saturday.
After seeing that game, did it kind of open your eyes up a little bit more to the Citadel and what Coach Houston's been able to do in a short time, especially with the offense he's running?
Well, I mean, I had a lot of respect for him. If I remember correctly, I think he came from Lenore-Ryan, and I thought he did an excellent job there. We opened up against them a year ago, and but that was their first game together as a staff. So you would expect significant improvement over time. And you look at the Navies, the Georgia Techs, et cetera. I mean, when you run that offense and you execute properly, that is an offense to be reckoned with. I think Coach and his entire staff have a good job with the kids. I think the kids have a great military attitude. They're disciplined, they're poised, they work hard, they don't quit, they don't give up, they execute well. So I think they have done a good job, but I'm not surprised at that.
You beat them 31-16 last year. You mentioned it was in the opener. So looking at them on film this time compared to looking at them on film last time, how big is the difference in your opinion?
Well, let me see. They're more experienced. They've been together 2 years. They know each other well. Their timing is better. Their size is better. They're faster. They're a little quicker, and they're more athletic. So what do you think of that?
I think you're in a world of trouble.
Well, are you suggesting maybe we don't even show up?
No, that's only in the game in Columbia I'm thinking about this weekend. I think you've got a chance.
Well, I certainly think we have a chance, and I think it's going to be a great college football game. Again, it's the playoffs, so you're talking about the best teams in the nation at this particular point in time, and I expect it to be a great football game.
Have you guys seen the triple option like they run this season?
We have. We saw it against Kennesaw State. Now, the Citadel is definitely better than Kennesaw, but Kennesaw does a good job with running their triple. You know, there are certainly similarities there, but there are similarities in most triple option offenses. But Kennesaw is not Citadel.
Yeah, Citadel probably has some, maybe better players and bigger linemen and things of that nature. What do you think of the Citadel's quarterback who had such a good game against South Carolina in particular?
Well, I think the quarterback, he's their leading rusher, and he's already gained about 700 yards. He's got 11 touchdowns himself, and what he looks for, I'm sure what the sideline is looking for, you start to cheat a little bit to be able to take away the run, then he's got the ability to be able to throw the ball. I think not only the kid, the fullback was the guy that really had a great day the other day, and but it's not only him. They have 6 running backs in aggregate, average 6 yards per carry. So any one of those can be a problem.
Yeah. What did you think of their blocking on the corners when they were running the option and carrying it out to the outside and the way they were able to handle South Carolina's outside people on defense?
Well, I think that they executed very, very well. They're experts in terms of being able to cut somebody legally. So they're attacking the corner. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly which way they're going. The defense has to start to come up. The defense has to be in position. If you're not quite in position or if you don't have leverage, I don't care who you are, you're going to lose that battle, that particular point in time. And that was true as well. There was very, very often where Citadel outflanked South Carolina, and then even if you don't get a great block, you're going to gain yardage. So they were very effective attacking the corner. But Phil, in fairness, a triple option team is probably going to be good at that.
Yeah, I would think so. Your guys, you're in the playoffs for the 4th straight year. You've won games in the playoffs. You're a seasoned playoff team for the most part in some key areas. So how well prepared for the postseason is this group this time, having gone through what you guys have gone through in recent years?
Well, I think, I think as you get to the playoffs, everybody knows that it's do or die, and everybody knows that the game itself is a very, very important game. Everybody's aware that you're playing the best at the end of the season. But even if we didn't get to the playoffs, I don't think that would change our perspective. I mean, that was a year ago, and we have had success in the playoffs, and we're pleased with that. And we're very proud of the fact that we're only one of 6 teams in the nation to have gone 4 years in a row. But I don't know if what we did last year, other than you've kind of been there before, doesn't necessarily change the way we approach it, our preparation, or any of those things. So I don't know if it really matters that much.
It's going to be a great ball game. I tell you, Coach Houston's done a fabulous job. You and your staff have done another great job this year, and we wish you the very best. Happy Thanksgiving once again, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Joe Moglia, it's actually pronounced Molia. That's how they pronounced it back in his homeland of the north, but down here it's become Moglia. So we're pronouncing the G. Up there, it is silent. Joe Moglia, what a run he has had at Coastal Carolina, finishing year number 4, and his record is 41-12, 17-5 in the Big South, 4-3 in the postseason. Good matchup coming up on Saturday in Conway between Coastal and the Citadel. They'll kick it off at 2 o'clock. Back in a moment. Thanks again to Coach Joe Moglia for joining us tonight here on Sports Talk. We're presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org, powered by soy. Let's get to some phone calls. Hear what's on your mind tonight. We've got the defenders coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Tiger Bryan in Lancaster. Hello, Tiger Bryan.
Hey guys, I want to wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving and give y'all kudos. Y'all done an excellent job this season. You know, I know it's coming to an end, but it goes so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does. I wish they played football 12 months out of the year.
Amen, brother. I listen to you every night. You know I would.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can still listen to us every night. We're not going anywhere.
But I got a prediction this weekend. You know, my Tigers gonna roll in their focus at William Bryant. And what I've seen of the game talks this year, I'm predicting, 42-10, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I got a question for you, and I'm gonna hang up and let everybody else talk a little bit tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What about that coach at Michigan State? You know, he Gamecock man. If Ray Tanner was smart, that's who he'd go at.
I think if he were maybe younger and maybe showing a little more interest, I don't think he wants to leave Michigan State. You know, he's firmly entrenched up there. He's got a top 5, top 6 team. He's from that area. He's from Ohio. He's not from the South. So I just, he loves his alma mater and all that. But what is he, 59 or so?
I mean, he has a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, he has a really good job. He has most of his ties in that area. He might be preparing for a Palmetto State connection when he's in the college football playoff as a number 4 seed, potentially getting ready to face Dabo Swinney and Clemson. But I don't think he has any interest. Again, I think Ellis Johnson alluded to this. People don't realize outside of this state, the South Carolina job isn't a destination job for many people, and that includes him, even though there's a connection there, certainly, but he has a really, really good job at a really good school and a really good program.
The only person ever mentioned with the South Carolina job for whom it's a destination job, Sean Elliott.
It is a destination job.
He is the one guy that you would know would take it and probably would plant his roots even deeper and not even flinch about going anywhere else. You couldn't say that whether you hired Tom Herman or Kirby Smart or unless you got another guy on the downside of his career, somebody who's already in his 50s,
Les Miles,
and has already made his money and made his name somewhere else and is just looking for a place to finish it out. I don't think Ray Tanner wants to do that. Just from I mean, he hasn't told me anything, don't get me wrong, but just from looking at him and based on the fact that Herman being in his mid-30s, what is he, 36, 37, somewhere in there, making such a strong push for him would lead you to believe he does want to go with a younger guy for this job. Thanks for your call. We'll be right back. And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Couple of notes from USC's practice, which is over. Freshman quarterback Lorenzo Nunez practicing more this week, expected to play on Saturday. G.A. Manga said he threw the ball more today and has thrown it lately. And Chris Lamons remained in a yellow non-contact jersey, sore back. Mason Zandy, ankle, and Terry Goodger, concussion, did not practice. And with that, we welcome in our defenders tonight here on Sports Talk. Former Gamecock great linebacker Corey Miller, now a sportscaster on television in Columbia, and former Gamecock great defensive back, safety, Rick Sanford, now co-host of an award-winning morning sports talk show in Columbia. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Phil. I hope you are tonight.
We are. You have won some awards, haven't you, for co-hosting that show with Teddy?
Well, I have to carry it. You know how that is.
I know you do. I know
Teddy
you do.
Does a great job. He does. He's a great guy.
He does. Dr. Rick substituting for the other half of our, yes, I know his name, Will Merritt. Will's on a trip, and hopefully he'll be back with us next week in time for Clemson's appearance in the ACC championship game. Pastor, how are you, sir?
I am doing well tonight. Hope you guys are doing great. Get ready for a, Turkey Day of Thanksgiving and relaxation. So always looking forward to that.
God, I'd hate to be the turkey on your table. I think that'd be kind of a...
It's not really nice being a giant turkey when it's so close to Thanksgiving.
I can imagine you just reaching over there and just ripping off a leg, just pulling
you know what? I'm watching my weight, man. So,
Good.
I'm on TV now, so I like to call it my 250 fineness, not 255, but 250 fineness.
We like it. Well, Corey, your take on what's going on with the coaching search at South Carolina, with Herman, according to some national guys, taking his name out. We've reported some other stuff since last night. Where do you think it's headed?
Well, that seems to be the case with Herman as of last night. I know I read your you guys report. You're spot on with that. I heard all the same thing. That was a deal that was out there tentatively. That they have kind of handshake agreed upon it. Then I don't know what happened from last night until today. But right now it seems the focus has quickly turned to Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinator at Alabama, who was kind of number 2 guy. So I guess if it's true with Herman, then they're going to pursue Kirby Smart. And again, this is a guy that I can tell you, 2 years ago inquired to me personally about Steve Spurrier and his job at South Carolina. And he liked and thought it would be a great opportunity. So I do know that out of his own mouth. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Rick, what's your take on what's happening?
Well, Phil, I think both you guys are right. I'm not surprised Herman took himself out. I still feel like Herman's going to look seriously at Missouri, from being out of that area of the country. I think that's still a job that he may be perfect for, actually, I think. But I do think that I agree with Corey. I think Kirby Smart is a natural choice right now. As to whether that happens, I don't know. I think Kirby needs to look at this roster coming back, and I tell you, whoever it is takes this job, Phil. I would do exactly what Butch Jones did at Tennessee. I would just bring in about 20, 25 freshmen and say, hey, look, we're going to play them every week, and we're just going to try to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no reason to be holding anything back with your young guys next year, because if you look with Pharaoh Cooper leaving school now, I mean, there's just the lack of playmakers on this football team is dramatic. And whoever takes the job has to go out there and recruit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've got to recruit, and they've got to do what Corey said last week. They've got to develop players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but too much has been made out of football, I think. Corey knows that football is nothing more than blocking and tackling and taking proper angles and playing proper fundamentals. And it's just been sorely lacking over there at South Carolina now for a couple of years.
All right, let's talk about the game coming up Saturday. And Pastor, Clemson coming off a very easy win for them against Wake Forest, and South Carolina losing to the Citadel. First of all, let's talk about Clemson, and emotionally and from a focus standpoint, it is the rivalry game, but they do have some bigger things ahead. Pastor, Where do you think the Clemson mind will be going into Saturday?
Well, it's a huge game for them, man. They have all the pressure on them. They have to win to continue to stay in this college football playoff. You know, it's like I said weeks ago, it's good to be excited, but you got to win every week. You can't go looking past South Carolina and thinking about North Carolina, because the reality is if you lose against South Carolina, Clemson is done as far as having any type of opportunity to play for a national championship. So I think it's business for them. I mean, this is a business trip. You know, they have to look past the rivalry. This is business to get to the Final Four. And I think, you know, they're going to be focused. They're going to tonight ready to play. And Dabo's done a great job of continuing to keep those guys focused in the right place. But he knows that South Carolina has absolutely nothing to lose. He's going into a hostile environment. You plan a team that's going to be looking what's going to make their season, because they have nothing else to play for. What would make South Carolina's season is to knock the in-state rival off and keep them from having an opportunity to win a national title.
Mm-hmm. Rick, defensively, especially looking at Clemson's secondary, facing South Carolina's receivers, wouldn't you expect that they're just going to get right up on the line of scrimmage and challenge those receivers and allow their defensive front to put pressure on the Gamecock quarterback and see if South Carolina can complete some passes against man coverage?
Well, I definitely agree with that, Phil. They only got one playmaker over there. I'd be double covering him all day long, Cooper. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that you go up there and you put your hands on people. I've been baffled all year with what South Carolina's been trying to do on defense. And every week I go in there and try and figure it out. I have no idea what they're doing on defense. They're playing their safeties way too deep. Their corners are too far off the football for what they're trying to do. And I understand they just don't feel like they've got no match up. You know what? You got to throw caution to the wind this week. Corey's exactly right. You got to. I mean, this is a game South Carolina can spoil Clemson's whole season with. I give that a slim to none chance of happening. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, you know, you still got to line up and you still got to play the game. So South Carolina really, you know, this is not a game where you have to, you know, worry too much about. Well, we got to have the perfect game plan and all that. I mean, you just got to throw caution to the wind in a lot of ways. And I think they've got to take a lot of chances in this game and hope Clemson can turn the ball over a bunch, because I see that's the only way I see them winning this game.
Well, Rick, what kind of game do you think Deshaun Watson is likely to have against the Gamecocks?
Well, I mean, it's kind of scary, to tell you the truth. You know, you look at the way he's able to run the football. I mean, he's such a dual threat that I don't think you can get away with saying, okay, well, we're just going to stop him from running the football, because I think first of all you have to stop the run to win in football to begin with. So, but the problem with him is that he can throw the football so effectively, and those people outside that they've got that can catch the football, they're all way superior to what South Carolina in the secondary has. So, I mean, I've tried to figure every which way I can to a South Carolina win, and outside of about 4 or 5 turnovers that I still think Clemson could be in the ball game with over there this weekend. I just don't see it. I don't know how South Carolina matches up with them.
Yeah. And Corey, what about South Carolina? What do they have to do? What can they do to have any sort of legitimate chance to be around in the second half of this game?
You know, I have a different perspective. Here's where I think South Carolina can win. I think they can win the game in the trenches on the defensive side with their front going up against Clemson's offensive line. I think they can have success. I think South Carolina's offensive line can have success against the Clemson defensive line as far as running the football. You play keep away. And you got to bring pressure. You got to make Deshaun Watson uncomfortable. That means bringing dogs, blitzes, whatever you got to do, corner blitzes. You need to hit this guy. And I've been thinking about this all day. You hit him, you put him on his back. I don't know if you watched Tom Brady the other night. He did not like getting hit. Even though he got rid of the football, he had a problem because he was on his back. If I'm the defensive coordinator of South Carolina, I got one goal in mind. Deshaun Watson, you may beat me, but this day you will be extremely uncomfortable because I am bringing the wood. And I'm going to bring somebody in there that's going to put my chin strap in this chin strap. You want to run zone read? You're going to pay the price. That's what they got to do, shake the Tigers up and force them into turnovers.
Guys, we thank you so much. Have a great holiday. Our defenders here on Sports Talk. All right, once again, thanks to our defenders, Corey Miller and Rick Sanford, for being with us tonight. Always enjoy what they have to share with us. 800-956-7266, the phone number here on Sports Talk. You want more out of your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, back to the phones we go here on this Wednesday night. Billy in Greenville, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, Phil, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Phil, even though I hadn't listened to you for a while, I was defending you in my mind against what everybody was, some people saying that, you made that stuff up and everything. Which I'm just saying over the years.
I was driving back from Clemson yesterday afternoon and just thinking of things that I could throw out on the internet to create a firestorm. That's exactly how I pass my time.
And I'm just saying that I've just known over the years that, you've been very, very factual with your, you don't just throw stuff out. I know that. I'm just giving that compliment.
Well, thank you.
But I just want to ask you and the other guy that's there, what were the mistakes?
That's the guy that didn't make up a story yesterday just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Okay. From both of y'all, what were the mistakes that happened that put USC in the position they're in now? I mean, I'm just looking at our team, and it does not look good for the next couple of years. I mean, as far as talent level.
Well, when you look at it, they have had some bad recruiting, some misjudge of talent. They've lost a lot of players for one reason or another. Spurrier ran off a bunch of players. They had 8 or 9 transfer out. They had a lot of decommitments in that class after he made his comments about only coaching a couple of more years. It's just been a seepage of talent from the program. And I think, too, that's part of it. But I think lack of player development as well. Taking a player who's at a certain level and getting him to the next level as a player and contributor. And I think they've come up short there. So, combination of just some overall poor recruiting and not developing players. Why was Connor Mitch, and this has to go on Spurrier too, I mean, why was Connor Mitch not developed into a star player as a quarterback?
And why did they not Mason Rudolph, who might not have gone, but they just passed him over for guys on their roster that aren't even sniffing the field right now. Mm-hmm. It was multiple mistakes. I think it started, again, we kind of documented this on the website shortly after Spurrier left, how the program got away from him. But when Shane Beamer left to go to Virginia Tech, they lost their best recruiter, the recruiting coordinator. Mm-hmm. They replaced him with Steve Spurrier Jr., a guy that admitted openly that he doesn't like calling recruits and working the phones and hobnobbing with people. So that was a huge mistake. You had Ellis Johnson leave to become a head coach. That happens. You promoted Lorenzo Ward. That's fine. But then some other guys left, and Spurrier just kind of turned the keys over to Ward and let him hire who he wanted to hire. And I think Ward misplaced a few of his hires. I don't think they did the best job in bringing in guys that knew how to cultivate talent, recruit talent, and develop talent. Mm-hmm. So that's going to catch up with you. And the fact that the state of South Carolina, the talent bed where the Gamecocks were plucking guys, dried up. I mean, they got 6 or 7 guys, most of them from right here in South Carolina, that were phenomenal players, from your Clowneys to your Swearingers to your Hollemans to your Gilmores to your Jeffries. All these guys, your Lattimores, that I mentioned, that Clowney guy. Yeah. All that's kind of a once in a generation run, and they were able to win with those guys and some of the other people that they pecked with. But when those guys graduated and left, boom, the floor fell out from underneath them.
Yep. All that combined has put them kind of in the shape that they are in right now. Thank you for your phone call. Let's squeeze in another one here before the break. Chuck on his cell phone. Hello, Chuck. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Thank you. How y'all doing today?
Good, sir.
Well, what I'm about to say, I don't know if y'all going to agree with me about my logic for it, but I wanted to call and say this. As far as the coaching search right now, from what I've heard, I'm not overly enthusiastic. I mean, I'm not really happy. I know everybody wants Tom Herman and the guy from Memphis, but and I'm not really happy about Kirby Smart. I've kept up with South Carolina since the 70s, back when Carlin was there, and it's been a proven. we've not done well with assistants and coaches from smaller schools. I mean, I know that Herman's done well at Houston, and the coach there at Memphis has done well, but it's a big difference from jumping from that level to the Southeastern Conference. I mean, I haven't heard, just like the guy a while ago was talking about the Michigan State coach. I mean, I know he's an older guy, but I'd much rather have him because he's got a proven track record.
Well, you bring up some good points. We'll pick back up on that in just a couple of minutes following recruiting. Thanks for the call. All right, let's give you some recruiting on this Thanksgiving Eve. Our little gift to you to stuff inside the turkey. Defensive lineman Rashawn Gary of Paramus, New Jersey, has taken official visits to Michigan and Ole Miss. This weekend, he will take another visit to Auburn for the Iron Bowl. According to his mother, Gary is set for Southern Cal on January 16th. That leaves one official visit spot to fill, and he may take that and some more unofficial visits. Clemson is in line for one of those stops, not sure official or unofficial. His mother, Jennifer Coney, tells us that they only did a one-day trip to Clemson, and he needs 2 full days. Her brother lives in Anderson, so they have family right down the road from Clemson. She said they plan to take a couple of days in January to go to Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State on their own, so that he can get a feel for the school in its natural setting and not just through a football standpoint. He wants to get a look at the students and coaching staff, things of that nature. LSU is another school Gary visited, spending 3 days there. His mother said that she does not expect a return visit to Baton Rouge. And she said they won't take any December visits because he's focusing on academics and he's getting ready for the Under Armour All-American game. At this point, the mom does not see a favorite emerging for her son, and he has said that he'd like to make his decision, his announcement at the Under Armour game on January 2nd. Running back Trayvon Polk, 5'8", 200, Hutchinson Junior College in Kansas, plans to visit USC this weekend. Polk is from Alpharetta, Georgia, missed his senior season of high school football with an ACL injury, and he signed with Tennessee for the 2014 class, but he was dismissed by Coach Butch Jones after an alleged domestic incident in which he was not charged. This season at Hutch, Polk rushed for 669 yards and 9 touchdowns, both team highs. Defensive back Chris Pam of Blythewood will take an unofficial visit to USC Saturday. Linebacker T.J. Brunson of Richland Northeast has set his official visit for Louisville for December the 4th. He is a Louisville commitment. In basketball, the Citadel coach, Duggar Balcom, has signed 5'7" Frankie Johnson of Darlington to a national letter of intent. He was his region player of the year 2 years in a row. He averaged over 19.6 assists and 4 rebounds per game last season. And 2019 point guard, 6-foot Jalen Williams of Pinewood Prep, regarded as one of the top classes, transferring to our Savior New American School in Center Reach, New York. That's according to his dad, something that they got finalized this week because they want to give him a greater exposure and a chance to play against a more national level of talent. So he's headed up there for this basketball season, leaving Pinewood Prep. There you go with recruiting. Of course, it's always available on the website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. It's the top of the hour. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Hope you're having a great start to your Thanksgiving holiday. And we thank you for being with us here on Sports Talk. Very thankful to have all the listeners around the states and our affiliates around the state. We thank you guys very much. Couldn't do it without the stations all around South Carolina who've been part of our network for over 30 years, about 30 stations strong around South Carolina. So we thank you for being with us each and every night. We wish all of you who are working at the stations a very joyful holiday. Very nice Thanksgiving with your family and your friends. I even wish the steak man a happy Thanksgiving. Yes.
Really going down
Well,
your
you
list.
know, I'm sort of in a melancholy mood tonight because it's
You're
the
sad?
holiday season.
You get sad during the
Well,
holidays.
you know, holidays sort of
Get
bring
depressed.
family together, and you get to see them every so often, but not for very long. And
So that makes you sad seeing your family?
makes me sad when they leave, knowing that they're going to be leaving at some point in time, K-Mac, you know. 800-956-7266. Let's squeeze in another phone call. Did we sufficiently answer the previous caller's questions about the demise of the game?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think we did.
Scott in Orlando, welcome in to Sports Talk. How are you?
You guys doing well. I got two questions on that. That's the first one, and you answer it, and I'll answer the second one. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is just, you know, how credible do you think the news is of Tom Herman? Apparently his agent said that, you know, he should just keep his job and wait for a better opportunity. That doesn't make any sense to me because he's a hot commodity now. He may go south next year, and he never could get a better job. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you have no guarantee if you stay at Houston that you're going to have another great year next year. It's a roll of the dice. He would be leaving over, from what I understand, comparing the contracts, he would be leaving over $1 million in additional money per season on the table by staying at Houston versus South Carolina and what potentially they could offer. And again, you know, all we've got are some national guys citing sources saying that Herman has withdrawn his name from consideration. You know, we don't have any information that South Carolina has been informed of that directly from Herman. Herman himself has not said it. And we were sitting here talking off the air. Why? You know, simply because the story that I wrote came out yesterday. Yeah, why would they specifically put out the word that he's withdrawing from South Carolina consideration when he didn't have to say anything at all? He hadn't said anything at all to this point. Why would they now float South Carolina's name out there solely?
I don't know. I mean, Chris Lowe earlier today said that Herman, like Tanner, had interest in the job, but ultimately decided it was best for him to sit pat, coaching landscape about the shift.
Well,
So, I
possibly
mean,
so.
other jobs out there.
But again, you know, I still feel confident in what we reported, that this thing was pretty close as far as being completed until somebody decided to back it up. Back on Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, the coordinators. Coming up in just a moment, whether you are a Carolina Gamecock or you bleed Clemson orange, all South Carolina college football fans can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union with a convenient location on USC's campus and a Clemson office coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. All right, time to welcome in coaches Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson to Sports Talk. First of all, Chuck, good to have you with us. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Well, thank you, Phil. Good to be with you, and same to you.
And Ellis, same to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everything's going well.
Going well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good to have the two of you with us. All right, let's dive into the big rivalry game, South Carolina-Clemson, coming up on Saturday. And I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, my statements on the program have been quite simply, I don't see any way South Carolina makes this a real close ball game. And I just think Clemson's too strong this year, and South Carolina's got too many issues. Chuck, what's your take going in? Do you see much of a ball game here?
Well, I looking at it the way you're looking at it, and we all look at it, I mean, you don't think South Carolina has a chance to win the game, but I think South Carolina is going to play very inspired. I think they're going to play as well as they can play. The only way they can win the football game is if Clemson doesn't play well, turns the ball over, and gives them a chance to win. But looking at it on paper, certainly South Carolina doesn't have the talent to compete with Clemson this year.
Ellis, I know you're proud of your Citadel Bulldogs, so I'm going to let you give them a shout out.
Well, obviously anybody watched the ball game, they're a good football team. They should not be beating an SEC team, obviously the 1AA team, but they're a very good football team. They know who they are. They know what they can do. I thought they executed extremely well. They didn't have a turnover in the game. It was the only way they could win the game, and they found a way to do it.
And what did you see from South Carolina's defense as to why the Citadel was able to rush for about 400 yards on them?
Well, the biggest things is I thought they were able to establish the fullback in that offense. That's always critical. And it wasn't constant, but it was frequent enough that it really hurt them. The other thing that was glaringly obvious is when Citadel's running backs and fullback got in the open field, there were times where South Carolina's skill could not run them down. And that's an obvious glaring weakness. Also, they got blocked out on the perimeter. I saw guys on the ground. I thought fundamentally Citadel's wide receivers and slots, they physically blocked them out on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. Can they recover from a performance like that and make any kind of a decent showing against Clemson?
Well, it'll affect kids different ways. Sometimes they really may want to play harder, or it could leave a doubt in the back of their mind. But, it is what it is. Like Chuck just said, they are what they are, and there's only so much emotion that can overcome that. Clemson's going to have to not perform well if Carolina's going to have a chance to beat them. But it can happen, no doubt about it. But I tell you guys, it's a strong statement. Now, Carolina did not have a single turnover and could not beat a 1AA team. And Clemson turned the ball over 4 times and still beat an ACC opponent by 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's a statement. There's just too many players on that field. They've almost gotten to the point when they make mistakes, they don't get rattled because they think they can cover them up. Now, that may work for right now, but if they get in the playoffs, that'll have to be better. But right now, they're just so good. They come back and make a play and fix it all.
Yeah. It all starts with Deshaun Watson, Chuck, and he had another big game, had a couple of picks on back-to-back possessions. But like Ellis said, they overcame those turnovers to win handily. Now, Wake Forest is down this year. They're not a very strong opponent, even by ACC standards. But what did you see in Deshaun Watson, and what do you make of the way he's playing here down the stretch and heading towards the postseason?
Well, he's gotten better and better, as the year has gone along. He's playing with so much confidence at this point. Even when he throws an interception, I mean, he comes back and has no fear about making throws and executing, and he's playing at such a high level right now. I mean, they're playing with so much confidence. I mean, they're averaging over 500 yards a game. It's very, very impressive. And they're going to be beyond South Carolina. I mean, they're still going to be very hard for anybody to beat, I think, because, I mean, they're good. They're good at receiver. They're good at running back. They're good at quarterback. Their offensive line has performed, above, I think, what anybody had expected. They're a very good offensive football team.
Mm-hmm. What about South Carolina, Chuck, offensively, trying to manufacture any kind of points against this Clemson defense, which is now ranked number 5 in the country? What do they have to do? I guess they've got to sort of, Clemson's they were talking this week about expecting the kitchen sink to be thrown at them. USC's got nothing to hold it, no reason to hold anything back. So what does that mean, and what do you think they'll try and do?
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean a whole lot as far as being able to put together an effective offense. They're going to throw a lot out there, but if you can't execute your base offense, it doesn't matter. If they can't run the football, which they haven't been able to do the last 2 weeks, they don't want to get into a situation where they're having to throw the football to try to win the game. Clemson with Alexander, their cornerbacks are too good. If they get into that situation, they've got to be able to run the football. And if they can't do that, they're going to have a hard time. They can, run any kind of trick plays and any of that stuff they want to do. They may hit a play every now and then, but you're not going to do it enough with that kind of stuff to beat a team like Clemson. You've got to be able to run your base offense.
Ellis, the Tigers against Wake Forest held them to about 135 total yards after Wake had gone up to Notre Dame and moved the ball pretty well on the Irish. And the Tigers allowed one 30-yard touchdown pass against their backups late. Outside of that, they allowed very few plays of over 15 or 20 yards, hardly any. Have they fixed that problem they had for 2 or 3 weeks where gash plays were hurting them?
Well, I hope so. I mean, the reason they're occurring is they're playing better teams than Wake Forest, and they are loading up the box, and I think they can probably get away with it with South Carolina because, Chuck said, the corners are going to match up so well, and the quarterback's not up to the speed of making big-time plays. But when you crowd the box with the safeties up there inside the 10-yard line, those backs break the line of scrimmage without being slowed down. That's where they've been giving up these breakaway runs. And that's the only way South Carolina's going to have a chance. But South Carolina's not been producing any of those. So not only are they not quite as good a football team, the specific matchups on this thing do not look good either.
Yeah. I know, Ellis, you've been around this rivalry a long time, as has Chuck. I'll ask both of you. Have you ever seen a greater difference in talents on the two teams as what you've got going into this one, Ellis?
I don't think so. I mean, I've been involved in it where someone had a heavy favorite, but where the performance, I guess, the most recent performance, if you just look at those, it just looks very stark. I mean, every position, it's hard to find a guy other than Pharaoh Cooper who looks like he may be better than the guy on the other team.
Yeah. How about you, Chuck? You ever seen the disparity quite as great as it appears to be this year?
Yeah, 89. When our last year at Clemson, when Sparky was there, I can't remember what we beat them 45-0, and it could have been, 70 or 80. Danny pulled it off. But we were very, very talented, and they weren't very good. But there's a great disparity here this year as well. I don't know that it'll be that much, but you remember that year. And we were very, very, very talented. That was Danny's last year. And we had a lot of great young players, Wayne Simmons, Ashley Shepard, guys that went on and played in the NFL that were backups, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, no, there's great disparity, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Guys, have a great Thanksgiving. If you don't mind, we'll hit you up again next week to talk about this game and also look ahead to the ACC championship game, North Carolina and Clemson. See if Eli's moved a little closer toward those Tar Heels than he has been, huh? Huh, Coach?
I'm calling off on my I saw that quarterback turn it over twice. I'm off of Carolina now.
You're off of them, huh?
I thought they could score with Clemson, in fact, the way they were playing, but now the guy put the ball on the ground twice. I don't know. That'll make him turn it over 4 down.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Our coordinators here on Sports Talk, Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy. Back in a moment. right, back to your calls in a moment. Thanks again to the coordinators for being with us tonight and all season. They have been fantastic, and we really appreciate it. We hope that, hopefully we'll have Chuck with us next year. He will not have forgotten football by then. Hopefully Eli will have a job somewhere. But if not, he's welcome back to be with us too. And he'll be with us next week to talk about the ACC championship game and the SEC game. Insects and diseases. You know what? They can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests, favorite campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks. Help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. All right, back to your phone calls. And Scott in Orlando has held on for question number 2. We didn't get around to it when he was with us before. All right, Scott, what do you got?
So if Herman's not the guy, do you think there's any chance of Fuente? And if it's not him, I mean, why go with a guy like the Kirby Smart? Seems to me that's the biggest risk as Brad Scott was. You see how that turned out? Why not go after a big name like Baylor's coach, TCU's coach, Michigan State, Hugh Freeze, something big?
Well, first of all, I think Fuente is headed to Virginia Tech. That seems to be what's happening with him. Kirby Smart is highly regarded.
Auburn almost hired him.
Yeah, a lot of people have liked him for a lot of years. I know some people are concerned about hiring a defensive guy. They feel like you've got to go with an offensive mind. But he is highly regarded. He's young. He's considered an excellent recruiter. He's a former national assistant coach of the year, et cetera, et cetera. He's been raised in some very successful programs over the years and had some great tutors. So, but you know what? It's a roll of the dice with any unproven guy. And you're saying go after a more veteran coach. Art Briles is in his 60s. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going to leave Baylor for South Carolina. And that's the other. South Carolina, you have to be realistic. You aren't the primo job. This isn't a knock on the Gamecocks. This is just reality. There's people that have coached there that have fond memories of the school. It's not they enjoy their time there, but it's not a job that Art Briles is sitting around at Baylor with the top 10 program year in and year out going, man, if that's South Carolina, I should really go after
it. That's why I'm
TCU.
That's why I'm surprised if the Herman thing is indeed dead from their standpoint. And I'm not 100% convinced of that just yet. We'll wait and see how it plays out. You are. Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
I'm definitely convinced that Herman's dead.
You can have your opinion. I can have
South
mine.
Carolina.
Listeners can have their opinions. People on the internet can have theirs. That's all fine. Nobody's mad here, and nobody's trying to be nasty. Everybody can have an opinion about it. I happen to think that it might not be totally dead at this particular point in time for whatever reason I happen to believe.
Okay.
But that being said, why would you say no to South Carolina if you're Tom Herman? South Carolina is a better job than Houston for many reasons. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what you're looking for. If you're holding out for an LSU or you're holding out for a Texas or a Florida State, you might get it, you might not. You have no guarantee that your Houston team next year is going to be a 10-win team. You might suffer injuries. You might slip to 6 wins, and you might be forgotten about. And you will have kissed away a $20 million plus contract at South Carolina that was on the table. One more thing that's troubling to me about the Herman story is, I'm not saying always, but almost always, when a candidate takes his name out of a job, he announces it, or his representative announces it to make it official. In this case, it's just reporters citing a source. Now I'm just trying to figure out why you just wouldn't come out and say, hey, I'm Tom Herman. I'm the coach at Houston. I'm not interested in the report at South Carolina that there's a deal done. No, I'm not interested. I'm not going there. I'm taking my name out of it. I'm coaching Houston. Just typically when somebody pulls their name out, well, they make a statement or their representative does.
Trace Armstrong, Dan Wolken pointed out that Trace Armstrong told him, and I think he cited Trace Armstrong, that Herman's best option is to stay put at Houston, and that's what
is that who he is citing and saying he's taking his name out?
And that's why that's why it would make sense for him to remove himself just from the South Carolina job.
Mm-hmm.
And so people think that he's leaning more staying at Houston, and as the team coming back, and that other jobs might open up. And he didn't eliminate everybody. He didn't say, I'm going to stay at Houston. I'm happy at Houston. He didn't make that declaration, but he maybe just crossed South Carolina off his list and is going to sit pat and see what happens. And as another reporter, Chris Lowe, said that they think the landscape could be changing here, and different opportunities could come up for him. And I get your point where, hey, they could lose 12 games next year and he could be a has-been. Houston might want to dump him off on somebody, but these coaches that are successful and confident, like players, they believe they're going to win and win anywhere they go. And they want to go where they think the situation is the best.
All right, we shall see. Back to the phones we go. And it is going to be Ronnie in North Augusta. Ronnie, how are you doing tonight? Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and that other fellow was in there with you. I'm not sure what his name is.
Tom Herman Jr.
That's a K-Cracker.
Hey, Bill, I've been a Gamecock fan for 50 years, and I know you've been around just about that long, too, keeping up with sports in this state. And I'd say 2/3 of those 50 years, hell, this was a typical season for me as a Carolina fan. Maybe a win or two more, maybe 4 or 5 wins some year, but this is about all we hope for every year. That's the reason I'll always be. It started with hope, and then what Spurrier came in there, and I still think he did the most important thing at the ever be done at South Carolina, and that's to prove that you actually can come there and win. Now, we're going to be number one on a lot of people's list, probably not, but I tell you what, I think when we start looking for coaches now because of what Spurrier did come in there and do, we can get a whole lot better coaches looking at us than what we could have in the past. So I will always speak highly of Steve Spurrier. It's gone down on him here at the end, but I still think he did the most important thing that had to be done. He proved that you can go there and win, because for most of my 50 years, no coaches just didn't believe that. I know they didn't because nobody else believed it. Hell, as a Carolina fan, I didn't believe it every year. You know.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know who we'll end up with, but I do think we're in a position much better than what we used to be, and I think we will end up with somebody that'll be a good coach coming in there.
All right,
y'all
Ronnie.
have a good night.
Thank
Bill.
you, man. You too. Have a great holiday. Hope you feel well. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the facilities are so much better than when Spurrier arrived. The 11-win seasons, playing for an SEC championship one time, coming up close in the East a couple of other times. Yeah, he proved it can be done. You got to have the right combination of players and schedule and luck, just like Clemson this year. They've got the right combination of players, schedule, and luck on their side, and they're able to put together a phenomenal season to this point. I mean, think about it. Clemson had all their tough games at home. The road games turned out to be pretty lightweight, every one of them. Many of the teams they played had to play or chose to play a quarterback that was not the starter prior to playing Clemson. About half those teams are like that on Clemson's schedule. They've just had, and they've stayed healthy. And Clemson has stayed relatively healthy this season. They've had a few bumps and bruises along the way, but for the most part, they've stayed healthy. And they have great players, and they're well coached and well prepared. All that gives you an 11-0 record at this point in time, and a good reason to feel like you're going to be 12-0 with an excellent chance to be 13-0 and playing in the national championship playoffs. Before we continue with calls, two teams doing very well at South Carolina. The basketball teams, between them, 0 losses, USC women and the USC men. Frank Martin was back in town today, his team coming back from St. Thomas after winning the Paradise Jam tournament. 3 impressive victories to get them to 5-0 for the first time since 2004, 2005. Gamecocks' best start under Martin. Here's a little bit of what he said earlier today.
Obviously, the guys were tremendous. Upperclassmen, their off-season work and preparation has allowed them to start this season off the right way. And it's been fun to be a part of. It's been fun to watch those kids grow and go out there and compete and beat some real good basketball teams.
Frank, how pleased were you not only with the 3 wins, but the seniors really took over and carried you guys during those 3 games? How pleasing was that to see?
Yeah, it's you look at the start to our season, the 5 teams we've played, they're all high-powered offensive teams that are led by seniors. And let's go through this together. I could be wrong, but I think Norfolk State is picked to win their league. I think Oral Roberts, if not picked to win their league, they're up there. DePaul obviously is coming off, coaching change, but they're a senior-led team that was expected to have a real good year last year that didn't work out. Hofstra picked to win their league. And by the way, every one of these teams has the player of their league, preseason player of the league on their team. And then Tulsa, same thing. And they're not picked to win their league, but I think they're picked second behind SMU, if I'm not mistaken. And they've got the players of the week in their league in back-to-back weeks. So their teams are playing well. They're senior-led. And watching our guys go out there and perform. And Andy Demetra said something to me after the game, which the championship game, he said, I'm not real good with some of these things. I believe he said we trailed for only 38 seconds the whole tournament. I think that's pretty remarkable when you're playing the kind of senior-led offensive fire-powered teams that we played against.
There you go, Frank Martin. The Gamecocks, you look at them, few things are doing well right now. Rebounding margin, both those categories rank pretty high nationally. Also, three-point shooting, 24th in the country in three-point shooting. And they're getting to the foul line a lot because they're going inside a lot. They're going to the foul line a lot and taking a lot of free throws and making a lot of free throws. They rank highly nationally in those categories as well. They'll play again at 2 o'clock Friday against Lipscomb at the Colonial Life Arena. Back to your phone calls. Let's go to Ed in Charleston next. Hello, Ed. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Yeah, I just was wanting to call about Kentucky. I know I lived down here about 40 years in Charleston, and they must have something in the editors. Let's don't put anything about Kentucky in the paper, about basketball. I think one time they said South Carolina comes in second, and Kentucky was next to last. And that's another way of saying Kentucky beat South Carolina, but they sure stretch it out and not put anything in the paper. I don't know what it is.
You mean you're talking about the Charleston Post and Courier?
Yeah, they don't want to put anything about Kentucky in there. I know we're pretty good, and I know we're perennial, and I think, of course, we don't do football up there.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you got a problem with the Post and Courier, you better call them and take it up with them.
Time to put your money where your mouth is. Put him in the field and let him fight it out. He's a hustler. If you don't got eggs, you won't be getting no sticks. And if you don't got money, you won't scoop for honey. If you don't got cash, you won't be getting no. He's a gambler. Bet the house on the young and then we got paid.
Show them the next item up for bid. From time to time, we all need some professional help. Don't you need professional help, K-Mac, occasionally?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. And when I need professional help, I turn to Paramount Sports and Lee Sterling. Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Good evening. I want to wish all you guys and your families and your staff a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to give, to be thankful for.
Absolutely. And same to you and yours. And hope you have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. So much football. How much football do you end up watching over the Thanksgiving holiday?
Well, I'd like to watch more. We do have 10 TVs at the house, all on for the day of tomorrow, and have 32 people over. Problem is, I'm usually not in the man cave. Those 5 seats are usually taken, and my mother, who's 77, and my aunt, who's 79, they are planted. They don't move. They are the diehards.
They're football fans.
Football runs deep in the family.
It sounds like it. All right.
My mom still has not gotten over that. My brother has a son that is 6'3", 240 pounds. He runs a 4.6 40. Wouldn't allow him to play football.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he end up playing? Anything?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse. Well, that's a tough sport.
Yeah, but it's not football.
That's a big boy sport.
This kid could have been. He could have started at probably Florida State.
All right.
So
1 and 2 last week. Let's get at it. 1 and 2 and see what you got for us this week. Let's begin with North Carolina, NC State. Tar Heels favored by 6.
They are, and it's dropping. It's down to 5.5 a lot of places, and I don't understand it. I think it's probably based last week on North Carolina not being able to close the door. But they were embarrassed last year by NC State, 38-7. Last year, they gave up 388 rushing yards in that game. This year they are going to, I think they have a big advantage here because NC State can't run the football. And you got Marquise Williams, you got Hood, who's in fine form. I think it's too much for the Wolfpack. Wolfpack, one of those teams, they haven't beaten anyone decent, and they just can't play with the big boys. And the favorite, 8-3 against the spread in Tar Heel games this year. I like the Tar Heels. They continue on this roll, 37-27.
All right. In the NFL, Panthers unbeaten, 1-point favorites against Dallas. That's changed. Wasn't Dallas the favorite early on?
It opened up as a 3-point favorite. So here's the way I looked at this. At first I said, okay, Tony Romo is a difference maker, and he is. Here's the problem, though, for Dallas. I think for them to beat Carolina, Darren McFadden's going to have 90 to 100 yards. He had 129 last week against a real soft Miami defense. That's going to be tough. Carolina loves the underdog role, 4-0 in this run of current 14-game regular season winning streak. And they get takeaways, plus 13 in turnover differential, and they've outgained 15 of the last 17 opponents. The right side, in my opinion, is the Carolina Panthers as they move to 11-0.
Wow.
And they beat Dallas 31-27.
Who would have ever thought that? Yeah. All right, our big game in our state on Saturday, Clemson favored by 17.
Yeah, and in this game, it's not so much who's better. This is a rivalry game. And I think the game slowed down a little bit for South Carolina quarterback Perry Arth. And this is the Gamecocks bowl game. Dabo still just 1-5 against the spread the last 6 in this series. I think there will be some pressure on him here. Clemson 2-5 against the spread as an away favorite, while the Gamecocks love being a home dog, 5-1 against the spread in that role. I'm just not sure Clemson can just step on the gas after the last 2 weeks of being on cruise control. I'm going to say Clemson wins 34-23, but South Carolina covers here and keeps it closer than most people would expect.
Yeah, including me.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Me
All right,
too.
Game of the week is the Iron Bowl, Alabama laying 13.
Yeah, this is Always a great game, a lot of passion. We're going to find out if Alabama can just keep rolling, or can Auburn keep it close or pull off the stunner like they did 2 years ago. First 10 callers get it for free, 800-400-9741. And what a roll we've been on, 5 out of 6 winning weeks. Last week, we won our college game of the year on the Oregon Ducks. Lane 4, they won 48-28 over USC. The week before, the Washington Redskins +1 on our NFL game of the year wins 47-14. This week, it's my turkey shootout, 15 games from tomorrow through Monday night. How do you get it? You go to ParamountSports.com. Use coupon code SAVE50. Save $50 this year, just $97 for the entire 5 days. Use coupon code SAVE50, ParamountSports.com, or 800-400-9741.
All right, time for the high school football report, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you've received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Let's talk about the games coming up in the playoffs this Friday in 4A Division I. It's Dorman and Dutch Fork, Burns and Sumter, Fort Dorchester, Boiling Springs, and Hillcrest, Goose Creek. In Division II, Spartanburg and Hannah, Lexington, Blythewood, Northwestern, Westwood, Westside, Nation Ford. 3A, Seneca, South Point, Union County, Chapin, Midland Valley, Georgetown, and Hartsville, Myrtle Beach. Class 2A, Division I, Fairfield Central, Newberry, and Dillon and Lake Marion. Division II, Saluda, Abbeville, Silver Bluff, Marion. In Division 1A, McBee, Southside Christian, Allendale, Fairfax, the mighty Vikings of Blatta. And in 1A Division II, Lamar, Rich Spring, Monetta, C.E. Murray, and Lakeview. So those are semifinal games. We'll have state championship games next week to talk about here in South Carolina. Speaking of championships, high school football, big battles. Let's go to Short Run, who is where is Short Run tonight, State Man? He's in Charlotte. Hello, Short Run.
How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Dog. Big Dog said you was a secondhand DJ.
The Big Dog said I am a secondhand DJ.
I'm gonna tell the truth now. Ain't no need to be lie, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Hey, but Phil, you know one thing?
What's that?
Big Dog can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
He can't handle the truth.
He can't handle the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth that South Carolina recruited a bunch of dumb players that didn't make it, thought it was 5 stars and everything, and put their program in a difficult situation.
Mm-hmm. And they've made some mistakes. We're getting players in, that's for sure.
Hey, you know them old super booster thing, they know everything anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Short Run. We like it when Short Run is short and to the point with us. We appreciate that. Hey, everybody have a great Thanksgiving. K-Mac, the best to you and your family.
Same to you.
State Man, the best to you and your family. Thanks for all you do. And thanks to all of you out there with us tonight and with us every night. We really do appreciate it. We do not take you for granted. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Catch our pre-recorded show previewing USC and Clemson further tomorrow night. And back live with you Friday night here from Columbia. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving.